Welcome to the Fran Snyder Podcast, where I talk to artists and music fans to explore how music connects us through great stories and experiences. Brought to you by the Listening Room Network. Today's guest, Mia Borders. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Great. It's good to connect with you.
Yeah.
You are in New Orleans presently. Are you from there originally?
Yeah, born and raised. Still live in the same house.
Wow. And so any awesome flooding stories?
Oh, so many.
Yeah.
Are they awesome? Fortunately, we have an up and down double. So the bigger storms, Katrina, we mostly had storage stuff down here. We were living upstairs at the time, so we didn't lose much, but we have lost things before.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've been through at least 3 or 4 hurricanes, probably more.
Yeah, I think the first one I remember was Andrew, was in like 92 or something. I was 5 and I remember distinctly being like, it's going to flood, guys. And they were like, shut up, little kid. What you talking about? And I was like, I'm going to move my toys upstairs. And then I was right. I called it.
Yeah. That's the one that's devastated Miami.
Yeah.
But I guess it kept on going. We don't hear much about what it did later. So you have been sort of a New Orleans performer for a really long time. You're also a music teacher. Is that right?
I am. Yeah, that's relatively new and
Yeah.
weird.
Well, first, I guess let's go back a little bit. Tell me a little bit about your history in terms of getting into music, how much schooling you had, what were the beginnings of Mia Borders, the artist?
Sure. I mean, being from New Orleans, everything is steeped in music culture. It's a part of everything we do, from, Mardi Gras to regular weekend nights to funerals. Like, music is a huge deal.
Yeah.
So it was part of our curriculum in school. And that's where I started, school choirs and doing musicals. And then I always wanted to play guitar. My grandmother made me take piano first, which I hated, just because I was ready to be a rock star. And I was like, piano is so lame.
Yeah.
I wish I'd stuck with it, but they let me switch to guitar, and then it was all done. I think I was 10 when I started guitar lessons, and I've been playing guitar consistently ever since. And then my original plan A was equally as outlandish as being a professional musician. I wanted to be a professional basketball player.
Nice.
That's just dumb. That's not practical. Gosh. And then that didn't work out. I have arthritis, and so then I transitioned to the arts. And I was like, don't worry, guys. Plan B, I'm going to be a professional musician. My family was like, great. Ugh. This kid always has to be the center of attention.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so then I transitioned to music, and Katrina hit right the summer after I graduated from high school. So I wound up taking a gap year before college, and I started a band at that time. Yeah, I think my first gig with the band was April 15th, 2006. And yeah.
And you so mostly playing New Orleans clubs, or did you play regionally? Did you guys get out of town a little bit, or?
A little bit. I was playing with my brother's friends, who eventually became my friends and my bandmates. But they were all a good bit older than I am, and they all had real jobs. They were lawyers. One was a psychologist. So touring wasn't really on their agenda. And then we got representation, and the manager was like, hey, we got to get out on the road. And then the guys were like, okay, we should probably quit. Bye. Good luck. So yeah, then we started touring. I did a couple trips with them. Our first on the road gig was in Helena, Montana, which was
That's a haul.
Great place to start. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So how did you discover house concerts?
A friend of mine, Paul Sanchez, fantastic
Yeah.
songwriter.
Cowboy
Yeah.
Mouth, right? Yeah.
Yes. The OG Cowboy Mouth. Yeah, Paul does a lot of house concerts, and I would see him posting on Facebook all the time, like, I'm headed through such and such if anybody wants a house concert. I was like, you just play in people's houses? What's wrong with you, man? What if they kill you, Paul? Uh, and he said it hasn't happened yet. So, yeah, then I just started reaching out. The more I started touring solo, I started with a huge band on the road, and then it got smaller and smaller, interestingly, instead of going the other way.
Yeah.
Just with the economy and clubs and what they could afford, what I could afford. So
Sure.
doing solo and duo shows, house concerts became more and more of a thing in between club stops. And then I found your network, and it made everything way easier.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. So you have a pretty interesting story. Before you discovered our website, you did a house concert with a fan
Yes.
that turned into something you had to exit. You tell tell us a little bit about that.
It wasn't through your network. Let's be clear. Everything is A+ over there, above board, they say. But I met a fan who invited me to their home for a house concert. And it was maybe my second or third house concert that I'd ever done. So I was a little bit wary. It was local, thankfully.
Yeah.
So, it worked out all right in the end, but it took a while to get started. It was a fun party to begin with. I'm not a really sociable person at parties. I'm definitely a wallflower, but everybody was really cool and chatty and very friendly. And then I did my first set, and it went over pretty well. Everybody was very, attentive and paying attention, and drinks were flowing. At the set break, some other stuff started being passed around, and I was, they were, again, very welcoming, super friendly people. They offered me some stuff, and I said, oh, no, thanks, that's great, but you get down with your bad self. And then the second set eventually started super late. I almost didn't do it. I was about to be like, hey, guys, I'm probably just going to go. And then I did the second set, and then things got super familiar with the audience. They were really digging it. I have a lot of sexy music. I thought that's maybe what sparked it. But it became clear that was going to go down whether I was there or not. And there were maybe 15 to 20 people just getting super friendly. And then they asked if I wanted to hang out. And I said, oh, no, thank you. I've got to go let my dogs out. Good day to you.
So you were the opening act for a swingers party, basically.
For sure. Yeah, a very diverse swingers party too. There's a lot of different kinds of people there. I love it. Whatever floats your boat. No kink shaming here. But I don't know y'all like that. I don't know anybody like that.
So since I live nearby, I'm going to go home.
Yeah, it's like, oop, got to go.
Oh, yeah, I love these stories. Now, in terms of our network, we actually have a couple of house concerts out west that are in nudist colonies. But again, everything, as far as we know, everything's above board. All good people. We've
dig it, man.
And nothing but great stories from artists who have played there, especially, artists who are non-nudists.
That would be really distracting.
There's no pressure for the artist to take the clothes off, but people will do what they do, and it's pretty funny. And we actually did have the one weirdness was somehow one of the acts that played there didn't get the memo about about what they were going to be experiencing, and so they were pretty uncomfortable, I think. But yeah, that's one or two hosts out of 500.
Right on,
So,
man. Right
so we don't want
on.
to give people the impression that this is a big swing fest. But I love stories that show, humanity and all its variations and stuff. We have a lot of recurring themes in house concerts, and it's always a chuckle to hear when people break the mold.
Yeah, I've definitely been surprised at a few house concerts. That was the most surprising though.
So you're a self-proclaimed introvert.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so this pandemic was designed with you in mind. How are you adjusting?
Mm, thriving. It was just me and my dogs for a while doing live stream concerts from home here in my studio every week on Facebook, and then mostly just texting with family
Are
and
the dogs active participants or distractions?
mostly distractions. The pit bull loves cables. Like he's like, let me tangle myself up as much as possible. He's currently
Yeah.
on my headphones cable right now, snoring. And the little one just sort of wanders in and out. They're a mess. They are so over this. Like, why are you still here?
Oh.
Ugh. But I mean, overall, it's pretty good. I get out a little bit now. I'll go to the grocery store every once in a while. Before it was in the beginning, it was very much I'm never leaving my house. Don't breathe anywhere near me. I will
Yeah.
kick you.
You started off immunocompromised, right? So you had to be
Yeah.
extra careful.
Yeah, my rheumatologist was sort of just like super worried about all of his people and so just told us to stay indoors and stay quarantined. But it seems like I'm on the right sort of medication to sort of give me a little bit of a boost in terms of not getting anything. Knock on
Yeah.
wood. Good God. Oh,
Yeah.
there we go.
There's the little one. All right. So you said you started teaching. Is it with Loyola? Are you mostly teaching online? And is that something that ramped up once COVID hit? How long have you been teaching?
I started teaching at Loyola in 2017. Touring slowed down a little bit. I was taking care of my grandmother at the time, and they offered me the job, and I said, why not? I'm around. And so originally I was running a pop ensemble, just like a student band, and they tell me what weird current songs they want to learn, and I teach them to them. Very bizarre. But it's a lot of fun. I find that I learn a lot of stuff as well. I've been doing that consistently. Now I teach two ensembles, and then I teach songwriting. And so when COVID hit in the spring, we transitioned online. It was very weird. It's tough to teach an ensemble online, so we sort of just pivoted into like music analysis and me giving them playlists and asking them to compare songs and all this weird stuff. And I don't know, man.
Yeah.
The fall has been interesting. I have one class that meets on campus in the recording studio. So we have the instrumentalists in the live room. I'm in the control room. We have vocalists in the ISO booths. Special air filters are constantly running. There's sanitizer and Lysol everywhere.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
If you are enjoying this podcast, can you pause for a moment to like, review, and subscribe? Please help the world discover our music community and the wonderful artists we support. Your feedback makes a difference. So tell me about this project, Escape from the Secret Lab. Tell me how they came about. Where are you going with this?
Yeah, the guy who puts it on, codename Dr. Pinkerton, is doing these live streams, I think maybe once a week or every couple of weeks with local bands here in New Orleans. It's all green screen, digital effects and stuff. And the idea is that a group or a band is trapped in a secret lab. And in order to escape, they have to accrue more points than the lab. And you get points by people watching and tipping. And so you eventually escape.
I got you. So this is sort of turning live streaming into a gaming competition.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. I've had a few friends do it. I've mostly been doing live streams out of my house. I did one with my full band, which is the first time I played with them since probably January or February. We did it at the House of Blues here in New Orleans, and that which is also weird to play the House of Blues with two people in there. And after every song, you just hear one dude at the soundboard be like, "Woohoo!" Like, thanks, man. You don't have to do it every time. But that was fun. And so then this next band live stream will be the Escape from the Secret Lab.
Nice, nice. So how has the live streaming been for you? What have you learned? What do you love about it? What do you hate about it?
My fan base is mostly on Facebook. So that's where I've been doing them all, which has its limitations. The sound quality can only get me so far, even using my audio interface. I was pretty well set up to do it just because I have cameras and audio equipment, and I was simultaneously recording, and so I would mix that and give that to my fan club members and all that stuff. But it's weird not being able to engage with people. Crowd work is one of my favorite parts of doing live shows, and talking to people and just engaging in between songs. So it's just me and the dogs, and they're over it. And just trying to keep up with the comment section and trying to engage that way. I've done a couple live streams over Zoom for like private parties and stuff, which is interesting. It's still weird because everybody else is on mute, but they make a deal of clapping in front of their cameras.
Yeah.
Good job, you nailed it. So it's weird. There are definitely limitations. I don't know friends who have really invested in the third party streaming software.
It sounds like a lot of people are trying OBS and some other stuff
Yeah.
to try to improve the sound.
Yeah, I guess I just have been holding out because it's like, is this really what life is going to be like?
Yeah.
How much am I trying to financially invest in this, and what will that do to me emotionally?
Yeah, and my curiosity is once we get back to feasible touring, how much of this new layer are we going to keep with us? Is it going to be more common than not to also live stream when you're doing a live show?
Yeah.
Are you going to split your attention between the audience and the camera? Are you going to have to learn to negotiate that as a performer? You talk about crowd work. Well, now you've got two distinct crowds to work.
Yeah.
And some things that work with the people in the room are not going to work with the people watching on camera. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic to see play out over the next couple of years, I think.
For sure. That was something that was brought up to me immediately by fans in Europe and other people across the country who can't see me live. They're like, okay, you're going to keep doing this, right? I was like, am I? Jesus, I didn't know that. Maybe.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So can you walk us through your recording career so far, like your last CD and maybe how that progressed from the work you were doing before?
Sure. The last record I put out was an EP called Good Side of Bad that we put out in March of last year. That was 6, I want to say, songs that started really because we started playing an Alan Stone cover. That was one of his, deep cuts or whatever. It was like a bonus track from one of his albums. And people were like, oh man, where can I get that? I was like, you can go buy his record. And they're like, no, I want your version. It's like, damn it. I said I wasn't going to record another cover because I put Use Me by Bill Withers on a 2012 record.
Well, there's your sexy music.
Yeah, that is where that began for sure. So we, I said, okay, we got to go in the studio and record this Alan Stone tune, Voodoo. And then I started writing other stuff. And so then I I didn't want to pressure myself to do another full record, and so we just put out an EP. Loyola has a really great studio, so I was able to get in there for free. Not going to turn that
Nice.
down.
Yeah, yeah. And was that because you're faculty or some other program?
Because I'm faculty. My drummer is also faculty at Loyola as well. So we got in there over Christmas break when nobody was there. I tend to be very efficient in the studio. My demos are meticulous and note for note.
Yeah.
I'm a control freak. Yeah. You can do whatever you want on the solos, but these are the parts.
That's great. And so your previous work, like, have you always done full band, full production stuff, or is there some acoustic stuff that you've recorded?
Well, since I started with the full band, it's pretty much always been that way. We did our first record we recorded it in 2008 in Nashville at Sound Emporium, which was really cool. They just won a bunch of stuff for Walk the Line, and we kept getting bumped because Robert Plant and Alison Krauss were in the studio, and then they were going long, and they're like, don't worry, we're going to get you in, we're going to get you in. And I was like, this is just not going to happen. Why did I come all the way out here? But it happened, and then in 2009, we put out the first full-length record. We'd done a couple EPs before that. So it's always been full band productions with a bunch of extra instrumentation and a lot of background vocals that I do, and I have an a cappella background, so that's always something that I try and incorporate is a lot of background vocals. I like to make the recorded experience something special since I know it's going to be different live. It doesn't have that same natural live energy. So I try and make it, bigger in its own sort of way. We'll probably, because I'm in here and I have the time, I'll probably put out a solo acoustic record at some point over the next couple months. I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, for a lot of artists who tour solo, duo, and first couple records, they're trying to do as much as they can and make it sound like the radio. And then at some point, they get tired of their fans saying, "Do you have anything that sounds just like you? Like what we just love this show, love what you did, but your recordings don't sound anything like what we just heard. Can we just get you and the guitar?" So it's funny. It's one of those things where you would think that's where artists would start. But a lot of times it's where artists end up. It's like, they're spending all this extra time and money trying to do full band recordings, and their fans keep asking, "Can we get an unplugged?"
Yeah, I've been getting that a lot since I started doing the solo and duo stuff. I'm just much more comfortable with my band. That also stems from just a lot of insecurity and stage fright, and being alone is being very exposed. I don't know. It's very terrifying to think of just like you guys are just going to listen to me for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Recorded. Ugh.
So tell me if you're on
jokes.
So tell me if you're on the same page. A lot of people, after they see you play for a big audience, they go, "Wow, wasn't that terrifying? Like, are you scared of playing for so many people?" And most artists that I talk to agree wholeheartedly that there is nothing scarier or more awkward than playing for one person.
Oh God, I can't even imagine. Ugh. Yeah, it's definitely creepy. I mean, I have a lot of just general anxiety. So the smaller shows are way more difficult to deal with. Also because I feel like a douchebag if I wear my sunglasses. Whereas with the full band, I can have my sunglasses. I don't have to look at any of you people. I can have my eyes closed the whole time. But if it's just me and my acoustic guitar, you can put on sunglasses? Like, don't be rude. One person would be a nightmare scenario.
Yeah. But that always begs the question. So we're so terrified of just having to look somebody in the eyes when we're playing one person. You can't look at the back row. You can't look at the wall behind them. Have you ever had in your life a person that you want, like as soon as you're done writing a song, is there somebody that you want to share it with first? Or is it always like, no, let me just get this on tape and I don't want to play it in front of anybody until it's with the full band?
I don't know. I mean, my brother is the person that I I bounce most of my music ideas off of, but that's, when the demos are finished. I would never play him like a voice memo for me. He would just rip me apart. Like, we're just the siblings that constantly mess with each other. So yeah, it needs to be as polished as possible. He and I own my record label together. So when it comes time to choose song for the record, I play him all the demos and then we rate them 1 to 5. He's very honest.
So to finish up, I'm always curious about. I listen to so many podcasts, or I spend so much time listening to podcasts and reading blogs and stuff. Really have not spent nearly as much time with books and CDs. Well, actually, CDs is probably not true. I've been reconnecting with Paul Simon during the pandemic. I borrowed his box set, and I've just been listening to it nonstop.
Nice.
But my question to you, though, you mentioned that you're into true crime podcasts and science fiction books. Okay, give us some titles. Give us some stuff that just powerful works for you. Powerful.
Yeah. I mean, I graduated with a degree in literature, so books are my jam. I'll pretty much read anything. I blew past my yearly goal this year of 60 books thanks to quarantine. So a bunch of sci-fi. What are some good ones? Well, my favorite books in general aren't actually sci-fi. My favorite nonfiction is The Color of Water by James McBride. That resonated a lot with me. He's a black man who was raised by his single Jewish mother. And so that got me.
Is that a similar heritage as yours?
My dad is black. My mom was Mexican, but I was raised by my dad's mother, my grandmother. So there's a lot of, just dynamics of a young person arguing with an older woman constantly. It was like, oh yes, that was us all day. Just a super opinionated older lady. Yeah. So that's my favorite nonfiction. Favorite fiction, Fahrenheit 451. Anything Ray Bradbury.
Yeah.
Into hardcore.
Yeah. What was that? What was the one where it was futuristic in the sense that all the walls inside the house were giant TV screens? Was that The Veldt or something like that? It was like a Ray Bradbury. It might have been a short story.
It a short story?
It might have been a short story. Yeah. I remember Fahrenheit 451 and that one really stuck out to me for his work.
Yeah, I just reread The Martian Chronicles, which is really cool too.
Very nice. Are you into like Isaac Asimov or any of that stuff?
Yeah, a little bit. I've been getting into. I'm trying to find as many series as possible, just because I feel like I need an investment in my time.
Well, you're reading more than one book a week. That's like one full book a week.
Yeah, I usually have one, like I'm reading one book and then I've got an audiobook going, not simultaneously, but within the same week.
Yeah.
So yeah, I finished the Expanse series, which was a lot of fun. They turned it into a TV show. And then one series called Old Man's War, which I read because the author, whose name I can't remember right now, wrote a book called Red Shirts, which was like a Star Trek parody about how you're going to die when you're in a red shirt and they send you out on a mission, which always just cracked me up because there was always a new person in the episode of Star Trek who had a red shirt and like a little gun. You're going to blow up in any second.
Wow.
And then on the other side, podcasts, anything true crime.
Yeah.
Just the darker, the better.
Awesome. Well, since we got into books a little bit, I'll give you my top recommendation. I recommend to everybody the autobiography of Walter Cronkite. And you can get it on tape. And what an amazing life that guy had. Just like one quick story is he got to start broadcasting radio. I think he also did like Morse code and stuff for the military, but he was broadcasting radio at a time when radio signals were not very reliable. And he would broadcast football games for whatever station. And a lot of times the signal would go out and they would have to keep it going. And so they would have to make up a football game.
Wow.
during the dark time, and then once they got the feed again, they would have to figure out how to marry the two narratives to get people back to the actual game.
Wow.
So, but he was also there on the first run for D-Day. He was a reporter on a plane going in to attack Normandy. They were supposed to soften up the German defenses, and it was cloudy, and they had to turn around. And it's part of the reason why we lost so many people.
Oh wow!
On Omaha or D-Day or one of those invasions, was that he was part of that crew. He was, I guess, reporting for this, reporting the war, but on this plane, and basically had to turn around because it was too cloudy. They couldn't get to where they needed to get or something like that. But
man,
he's had an incredible life, and that book is so well written. And I got to listen to it on tape. So if you can get the audio book, highly worthwhile. Best thing I've ever read.
On the library app.
Yeah. Well, Mia, it's so good to connect with you. I'll share your links in the podcast notes.
Cool.
And this will be up on YouTube in a few days, and all the podcast apps shortly after.
All right. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for the stories, and definitely look me up next time you're in Florida.
I will. Yeah.
All right. See ya.
Thanks for listening to the Fran Snyder Podcast. Please subscribe, like, or share to help your friends discover this community. Also, I'd love to hear from you with any feedback or suggestions you have. And if you'd like to learn more about house concerts and listening rooms around the world, please visit and join listeningroomnetwork.com. You can email me from there. See you next time on the Fran Snyder Podcast.